What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Thursday, April 29th, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the verified one at Tim Geddes.
Let Tim host. I was getting ready for the Tim motherfucking Geddes that Blessing normally does. You know
don't.
what I mean?
You know,
like,
I'm sorry that I'm.
We got a
old news
professional
to you
to.
now.
Excuse me. We have the host of E3 here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Fuck you, Jeffy Grub. You know what I'm saying? I see him down there in the chat.
Yeah,
How's
Jeffy
it
Grub.
feel?
I don't see you hosting E3.
How's it feel to see a real games journalist, Jeffy Grub, you coward? You know what I mean?
Why are we going after Jeff Grubb?
Because I saw him go by in the chat, and it was time to fucking get him. All right, I've had enough of this shit. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Also, I love that I look at the chat. The first thing I see is Jeff Grubb saying, "Hey, kids, any drama?" Yes, Jeff, and we're bringing
you,
it.
Grubb. You're the drama. We're coming for you. He says Jeff Grubb's game mess will destroy you. I'm happy to host it. You know what I mean? Like, let me know. Let's just do it. Can we just give it up? Just give up, video games industry. Let me host everything. It's over.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm getting them, Tim. You know, day by day, brick by brick, I'm taking this place down. Now, here's where I wanted to start. How often do you think about the road dog Jesse James?
Very, very infrequently.
God, he was so good at his job in WWE. You remember?
I was in my era.
The new age outlaws. Fucking DX, man. And that was the thing, too. Shawn Michaels left, and everybody thought DX was going to go down the drain, and they fucking came back better, stronger than ever.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the road dog enough. It did say suck it a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
X-Pac.
I love this energy. Here we go on a
I told Kevin we're having a banger of an episode today. I don't know if I know you haven't had the time yet, Tim. You're a busy man. P.S. I love you. XOXO is live right now. It is our Returnal review. It is me. It is Blessing. It is Paris Lily popping in. You can get it over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. And of course, podcast services around the globe. Except maybe not Spotify. We're working on that. We don't know why Spotify's being weird about it right now.
Real quick, update for everybody on that. Just because I need to say this as many times as possible. We've moved servers for podcasts, so we're no longer on SoundCloud. So we're no longer going to be on SoundCloud at all. So just understand that. But we will be, because of that, available on all other podcast services, all of them. So if we're not showing up any of our Kind of Funny shows that you know and hopefully love. If we're not showing up, please tweet at me at Tim Geddes. Let me know, and I'm going to try to solve that. There is a problem right now that shows our new episodes this week aren't popping on Spotify. I don't know why. I'm looking into it. Hopefully that'll be solved soon. But if you're trying to get the PS I Love You Returnal review or the Kind of Funny podcast that went live today with Mighty Mouse, the UFC fighter, the MMA fighter, you should go to other podcast services.
Not the cartoon character Mighty Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're working on that. But what I was driving at, I wasn't even into housekeeping, but I won't say the same stuff again there, don't worry. It was the fact that I think that PS I Love You XOXO is our best episode ever of PS I Love You XOXO, of the, at least for sure, Blessing and I's era, in terms of having fun, having a great conversation about games, then pivoting to a whole bunch of awesome PlayStation news. So, like, you want to talk about the energy I have today, let alone the fact that I can yell in my room, remember? I can, it doesn't matter. Jen doesn't get mad anymore. I got my own room, you know what I mean? If I really wanted to, I could run back and forth. I don't want to. I also have slippers on. You know what I mean? Yes, but I want you to know that's there. I'll save that. Maybe today. State of play reaction. Something big will happen. I'll run around. I'm sorry. Big Kev Dog from kindoffunny.com. What do you have to say?
I'm just saying it would really make good content for you to slip on your socks. So if you're.
But what if I slip on my socks over there off camera? You don't know what happens. Then I come back and I'm just hurt.
No,
you hear me gasping.
We'll hear it, and then you'll start laughing.
You'll hear the
I'm telling you, it's gonna be good content.
Well, I mean, that's the way, everybody's always making these kind of funny animated cartoons and stuff. That'd be one, right? Like, of when I do run around and we do it, me running off, and then the thump, and then it's just the slow creep of blood into frame. Wow. You know what I mean? From my head getting cracked up. Well, Tim, here's what I like to say is not enough cartoons are getting dark these days. And it's one of those things, the kids out there, they think it's all handshakes and rainbows, all right? But they really need to know that there's a man out there and he's got a whip, all right? And if you get in the way, waka, it's like Folsom Street Fair down there. They're all wearing leather. You know what I mean? They're making me call him daddy. That's what it's like now out there. And kids need to know this. And if we would tell them that in a cartoon sense, they would be ready for anything.
That's what I like to think. Invincible finale reactions tomorrow on youtube.com/kindoffunny. We'll have that stuff. Probably
Why
not,
is there a
but
whip
there will
man?
be violence.
Because I immediately jump to some real S&M leather stuff, Kevin. If you need to know, what I was picturing in my head, like it's like that thing where they've got the ring on their chest and
you
then
made
the
that
straps
clear,
coming
but I'm
off,
saying
and
why? Why did it jump there?
Why did you jump to the sex stuff? Because I jumped to the sex stuff. Yeah, but why?
I mean, I don't know.
Let's talk about some video games.
We're talking about what kids need to know, and I'm like, well, kids need to know the sex stuff from a guy in a leather ring thing harness.
No,
what do they call that? Jeffy
let's
Grub,
not
let me
have
know in
you
the
near
chat. What do they
kids
call
ever.
this
How's
thing?
that?
You know what I mean? Huh?
Huh?
Let's talk about some video games, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S, Returnal reviews being in, and Bobby Kotick getting a pay cut. All this and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, you can be part of the show on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you, of course, can write in with your questions, comments, concerns, everything under the Daily Video Game Sun. Over there, you can also, of course, get exclusive shows. You can get this show ad-free. You can get this show with its exclusive post show we do each and every weekday. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. You can watch us record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like SCLSU Mud Dogs H2O. Man, it's the problem, Tim, where I want to call out people in the Twitch chat, but then I look and it's the first name I read I'm going to read, and that was a long one. So now no one else gets any credit. That name's too long. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Sorry, Johnny the Jet.
If you're watching, like, you look over here, right? There it is, TMG Tom. Well, that's an easy one. I got Expedaliocious 9176 or something I'm trying to read over here.
Expedaliocious.
Anyways, if you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every week.
Wow, there's like a nice earthquake going on when you.
Well, I can pound on the desk again. You know what I mean? It doesn't reverberate into the wall. And
Give me a good pound, Greg. Give me a good pound. Yeah.
You shook
The Demetrius Johnson Mighty Mouse yesterday for a Kinda Funny podcast. We only had him for a limited time. So I kind of did the abbreviated intro in the beginning. I was like, I didn't get that. And then I got to do it later in the show, but it was cool. There's some other joke I wanted to make. Oh, nobody's called out yet and you're wrong. So, listen, no, this is kind of funny, right? Do we judge people, Tim? Or we don't judge people, right?
I mean,
we judge like Nick
we
and
shouldn't.
Kevin or whatever.
We
right?
shouldn't. We do. But
forget it. Here it is. I was waiting for somebody to come in and tell me. Okay, Raptor Cheer says, Greg, the leather thing with the ring is indeed called a harness. Thank you. I feel like there are a lot of different S&M harnesses, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be one that is like that one. That if I walked in and like that's the one I want.
The one
because I'm kind of thinking
them all.
Because didn't back to WWE, didn't like Albert wear this? Like when he was Prince Albert, didn't he wear something similar to this? And everybody's like, why is he wearing this S&M thing? I don't know. Let me know, everybody, if you know anything about Albert. From, of course, the hit from TNA. Remember, that was not TNA, the wrestling corporation. The tag team, Test and Albert, that when Trish Stratt. I digress. Housekeeping for you. Like I said, the best episode of PS I Love You, XOXO. Volume 2 is live right now. You can go get our Returnal review. State of Play, another PlayStation State of Play is happening today at 2 p.m. Pacific time. We will be reacting live to it on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you miss it, of course, it'll be up later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Hype levels, Tim?
Oh, 10 out of 10 for what this is. More Ratchet. Let's go. That gameplay trailer or whatever they put out with the fun song last week, I was like, this might be the most gorgeous video game I've ever seen. And to see more of that, you know what I'm even more excited about, though, Greg, is after we do the reactions, being able to watch it in its actual 4K, nice,
the 4K,
high quality on YouTube. Very exciting stuff.
Now, Kevin has sent me here S&M harness. Oh, so if I just put an S&M harness, that I'll find. Oh, Gladiator harness looks like what I'm looking for off of this. Man, what I also if everybody wants to follow along, if you put S and then the ampersand and it's an ampersand S&M harness into Google. They got a sex doll here in the harness too. It's I'll tell you what. Boy, howdy, the internet has some things on it. I'm having a great time.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to be back. What a time to be alive and having shows with my friends. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
fantastic.
Still on housekeeping here. The next 2 Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, we are partnering with Razer to show off the RTX 30 series powered blade laptops with Andy and the boys playing some Warzone. Oh my gosh. Am I gonna have to hear about Nick wanting one of these now for the rest of my life? Is that how this is gonna go? All right,
100%.
Tuesdays, 11 a.m., more Warzone, but this time on really cool computers. That's awesome. And then Apex Legend Legacy First Impressions with Blessing and Andy are live right now. It's a new mode, it's a new season. You can catch that over on youtube.com/kindafunnygames as well. For now, thank you to our Patreon producers, Mick, a.k.a. at The Nanobiologist, Tom Bach, Trent Barry, and Blackjack. Today, we're brought to you by Dr. Squatch, Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, Caviar, and Channel Fireball. But I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's get into what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 6 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
Tim, I'll let you know I'm already dreading trying not to say Wu-Tang, even though I did not say Wu-Tang in the Final Fantasy ad like Blessing said earlier, but now it's in my head. Number 1 on the Roper Report, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is finally getting a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S version. We go to StarWars.com. StarWars.com has an article up about all sorts of things happening on May 4th. May the 4th be with you, their celebration. Just about every Star Wars game is on sale. You can go to StarWars.com to find out about it. There's your deal of the day shout out. But most importantly, they put this in about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Coming this summer, we're excited to announce the next-gen release of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, bringing a number of technical improvements to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S console versions of the game. This will be a free cross-generational upgrade to current owners. More details will come soon. You can get up to $70 off the standard and deluxe editions right now for the May the 4th celebration. The offer is valid April 28th through May 12th on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Origin, and Steam. But obviously, if you're looking for that Xbox or PlayStation free upgrade, this would be the time to strike. Tim, you have 60 seconds on the clock. Tell everyone why they should strike on this 70% off deal and go get this game.
Oh, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was my game of the year 2019. Fantastic.
I do believe it was my game of the year 2019.
Because you have good taste, Greg. I appreciate that and love to see it. Fantastic story, fantastic gameplay. It's a Souls-type game for people that might not like Souls-type games, but like Star Wars. And I'm one of those people. And it got me in. I love it. I was riveted the entire way through. It's the right type of challenging. It's the right type of fun and adventure. It's beautiful. And the soundtrack is authentically Star Wars. The voice acting, the cast in general is fantastic. Some really funny characters. Greasy Money, baby. Never forget.
Greasy Money!
If you don't know, you're about to find out. 70% off. You got to do it.
Dude, you know how much I love that fucking game. Like, that, and again, that I know it's a weird thing to say, being a now 38-year-old man, and Star Wars being around as long as it has been. But that was the thing that kickstarted me actually, I think, falling in love with Star Wars and really loving that universe. Like, I loved obviously KOTOR obviously back in the day, but the movies didn't do it for me and yada yada yada. But Force Awakens had done something, and then when we went down and did that preview event and played that game, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then there was that you're like, we're going to Star Wars land, Greg, and I was like, I don't know, blah blah. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna commit to it today. And we went there and we made lightsabers and we drank in the cantina, and I was like, all right, this is fucking dope. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan now. And like that game, I platinumed and enjoyed, and I'm so excited for this because I will 100% platinum this again on PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah, that's
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that would get in the way of obviously is different reviews and what we're doing, so it might take me a while. But like, I found the Fallen Order Platinum, with the exception of how bad the map was at times, to be a joy to platinum. Like, I just loved being in that world and doing things. I'm totally stoked to go back in there and be Cal again.
So there's a whole bunch of thoughts that I have. One, little promotional thing. This episode seems to be a lot of pimping out of the kind of funny stuff, but hey, sometimes there's synergy. Starting next week, May the 4th, we're going to be doing Star Wars Bad Batch reactions, at least to the 2 episodes next week, one on May the 4th and one on the Friday. It'll be me, Roger Picorni, and the sad boy Barrett himself. So check that out, the Kind of Funny Reactions podcast channel and youtube.com/kindoffunny. Back to Jedi Fallen Order. Very excited about this. A little confused. Wasn't there already a PS5 upgrade for this game?
What there was a PS5 patch or whatever to take advantage of the PS5 if you're playing the PlayStation 4 version. This is getting
boost mode stuff.
Exactly. This is a full-blown from the or not ground up, but you know what I mean. This is the PlayStation 5 version of the game, which to me says that, of course, as you read through this, and they're saying it's a free upgrade. I'm saying, of course, buy it if you haven't yet on this 70% off thing, because yes, there will be a version, I'm sure, at launch that is just the PlayStation 5 on the PlayStation 5 store, buy it full price or whatever and have it go there. I'd imagine, of course, everybody's playing fast and loose with what a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 thing is. But for anything else, like we've seen, think of like Avengers, right? Where that's a free upgrade, but of course, it is also available on the storefront there, ready to go.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That makes sense. And that way you can get the double platinum.
Exactly. I mean, again, they could do something. They could do something where it is like, yeah, oh no, your save carries over, and you don't get this. You don't. It's the same trophy list. Yada yada yada. I'm pretty sure they can't do that when it's the versions, but obviously people have gotten around it when you're talking about, how Borderlands has handled their trophies with obviously them syncing up and yada yada yada. But I'm expecting a new platinum because that's the way most of it's worked when we talk about Avengers, when we talk about Borderlands having its own thing, even though it kind of read your save for a second, even though Avengers read your save. Yada yada yada. I'm getting into the nerdy PlayStation stuff. I'm expecting a new platinum, a fresh platinum.
Great. That's awesome. And honestly, even it being my game of the year 2019, a kind of weird year that I feel like a lot of people, there were so many amazing games. We had was it Resident Evil 2? I think was that year. Is that correct, or was that the year before? I'm a little.
Last year was 3, and the year before that was 2. So it would have been 2019.
Yeah, there was Sekiro, obviously the Apex Legends. I know it was Blessing's game of the year and all that stuff. So it was
Blessing was in the chat a second ago, totally backing our decision that Jedi Fallen Order was game of the year for us 2019.
Got it. But my point is, even it being my game of the year, it wasn't perfect. And a lot of the things that made it not perfect were technical issues. I remember when we did our review talking about it playing on console versus Fran playing on PC, he had a much better experience with us than us because of just little hiccups here and there, like the way that things would load or like pop-ins and all that type of stuff and just frame rate issues. So imagine a next-gen upgrade where they're actually going to solve all those problems. It's like going to make a great game even better, right? So that's very exciting. Can't wait for that. And
real quick, when you were a second ago, you were saying how Sekiro or Apex, whatever, was Blessings, and he says no, I wasn't. He wasn't saying that. He was saying that Star Wars is his game of the year 2019.
I would like to issue a live. You're wrong. Actually,
I threw him into the waiting room. I don't know why he popped in. That's weird. Moving right along.
That's weird. I got a. I will not be silenced. Apex Legends.
I know, Blessing. We understand. We heard you. The chat synced up perfectly. We understood it. Apex Legends was not your game of the year. Jedi Fallen Order was your game of the year. We see it. We understand it. I don't know why you're cutting in and out like that in Discord. That's weird. But no, thank you for coming in as always and being part of the show. I look at your work schedule though, and it says right here. Oh, actually, no, shit. You turned it off. I was damn it. I thought I was gonna have a call on somebody supposed to be doing what he wanted. Whatever. Thanks, Blessing, for being part of the show. Glad you're on the Fallen Order crew. That means a lot to us. That it was he didn't even work here yet, and it was unanimous that was our game of the year for Kind of Funny. I think even Andy said it. It's interesting.
The last thing I want to say though is this. Me and Bless talked about this a little bit last week. But what do you think is the roadmap for Star Wars Jedi : whatever the hell the next sequel?
Oh yeah, for the sequel to this. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about this. Man, it's one of those. How much has COVID work from home thrown things off schedule? Because if I was a betting man, I would think. Let's say there's no COVID, normalish life, right? I would think that maybe Game Awards this year, you would get a teaser trailer, Saber turning on, yada, yada, yada. But even that, I'm saying like the teaser of it, of just letting you know it exists kind of thing. I think with work from home, COVID, coming off of that, I think we're farther away from even just the tease of it. So now I would think maybe, because you figure a 2019 game we're talking about, it's 2021 now. You get that tease in 2022 and the game comes out in 2023. You hope. I'm best case, and I don't want to rush anybody. Does that sound crazy to you? You think it's close?
No, I mean, that sounds way more conservative than I'd be thinking. Even with because you're talking about if there was no COVID and you still think a tease would be Game Awards. I think even with COVID, I wouldn't be surprised if a tease was this E3 at EA Play or whatever they do. Because again, teases don't mean a game exists necessarily yet. It just means the game is coming. Right.
Hey, we all saw EA Play last year with a great host who got promoted to host the entirety of E3, where they teased Skate, and they had nothing to show about that other than saying, "Hey, Skate exists."
Yeah, exactly. But even with when you look about Jedi Fallen Order and how it was kind of rolled out, like if I remember correctly, there was one E3 where they kind of just showed a bunch of like concept art about a bunch of different Star Wars games, and that was just, hey, we're EA and we partnered with Star Wars, and then like the next year was the one where Andrea hosted a bit of it, and
she talked to Vince in the crowd, right?
Exactly, and he essentially said the name of the game and like a 1 cent
so you're saying
of, like where it took place. But I mean, that was for a game that totally didn't exist, right? That was like a brand new franchise, and then the next year the game was shown at E3 and came out months later. I think that because it's a sequel, I imagine there's a little bit more leniency in putting together a CG trailer to tease the sequel, give a title, give some type of time frame. But it's not just someone awkwardly in the audience, I'm going to be honest, giving some information that everyone's like, why are you doing it this way?
Dude, we love Vince and we love Andrea and we love...
Absolutely.
That was an awkward thing. I'm just being like, all right, yeah, and it's called Fallen Order. All right, cool.
Yeah, totally. But I imagine that they could just, put something a little bit more like fun to look at and give us just a little bit more context of like what Cal's up to next, right? Like that's what we want to know. And then of course, when we're going to be able to play it and all that stuff. And that is where I think a lot of the effects of COVID and the effects of game development, like without COVID are really going to take place. But even having said that, it's like, what has that team been up to since the end of that? Because I expected DLC. This is what I was talking about with Bless, and it didn't happen. And sure, they're doing these patches, they're doing all this stuff, but
and that was the thing, right? They had done additional new game plus and that kind of thing adding on, but they didn't I was expecting, I'm right there with you, where it was going to be, hey, here's an episode of what happened after the fact. Here's where, Cal on the run, or this is what's going on with him and his and Greasy and Greasy Money, everybody else. And we didn't get that, which I'm with you. I think speaks to that they got right to work on the second. But you say that, and then it is that they had the updates and they did the updates, and now you're getting a PlayStation 5 version of it. Granted, that doesn't need to be the full team, but yeah, where are we in the production of the sequel to this?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it earlier than you're talking about. I also expected a little bit later because of the state of the world and everything. But it just kind of feels like it's time to start building the hype for the game to then come out. I imagine the game's coming out in 2022, not 2023. I guess I could just say that.
Okay, I hope so. I just think it's a quick turnaround, but I could see it. I mean, again, like you're talking about, and where they left off and what they did to it, and the hope would be right.
Sorry, just to jump on there is Battlefront 3. That obviously has been longer since we've seen Battlefront 2 than Jedi Fallen Order. So I wonder if we're due for that, but then we're also getting a Battlefield game this year, so I don't think they're going to want to do that. I don't know. It's just weird. I just feel like more Star Wars games should be coming out.
Well, remember, Star Wars is, exiting this exclusivity with EA. And so that's why I don't know if you're going to get a Battlefront 3. I think, granted, I think Battlefront 3 or Battlefront 2 obviously totally rebounded. It's a great game. There's a million things going on, yada, yada, yada. But I also just don't think that, I don't know. I'm speaking out my ass totally. But I don't think Disney in Star Wars looks at that and goes that, you got the game to a great state and yada, yada. They look at it like, oh, God, the fucking loot box shit. Oh, God. You know what I mean? All the shit we went through to get it to where it is now. Maybe we'd let that chill for a while or take it, the Battlefront license to somebody else later on. I think they're more excited for what comes next from a variety of Star Wars partners rather than, hey, let's get EA to get 2 more out. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I think 100% you are getting another Star Wars Jedi from Respawn sooner than later. Battlefront is the one I'd say I wouldn't hold my breath for. But I also have been wrong a number of times. Dan, the Mexican man in the chat, says there is Battlefront 3 news circulating the interwebs. Of course, there's always rumors going and stuff like that. And again, it is a game. These are things you get working on so early. When do you decide to kill it or move away from it? I don't know. And Star Wars and Disney have talked, and EA have talked about even though this is going multi-partnered now, they're still going to work together on games. So totally makes sense. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I can't wait for more. And let alone Cal's story, which I think is so cool. And I'm so excited to go back to it. And I think, you're talking about, or we're talking about, what happens next. I do think that that's a great point this summer to drop this and maybe put a teaser trailer out then. And they're saying summer, right? Which leads into the E3 timeframe, which leads into EA Play. Maybe it all lines up the same thing where exactly what we're talking about of we're super excited. I mean, you put out the PS5 series version the week leading up to EA Play. EA Play, you get that moment of we're super excited, that we're able to put out, Cal's story in stunning 4K, yada, yada, yada. But we have a little bit more and then, go in there and put the teaser trailer out, something like that.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Very exciting stuff. Speaking of exciting stuff, Greg Way, Number 2 on the Roper Report, we have Returnal reviews and a Returnal review roundup. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames to see PS I Love You XOXO, our Returnal review. It's me, it's Blessing, it's Paris, all talking about how amazing Returnal is, and the critics around the internet agree. When I pulled this at 8:48 a.m. Pacific time, the Metacritic was sitting at an 86, which I believe is what I predicted in the post show. When Blessing asked me to predict the Metacritic, but I digress. Game Informer gave it a 9.5. Danielle Tack wrote, Returnal is a relentless nightmare that's a dream to play. The journey is full of horror and terrible discoveries, but also unbridled curiosity and wonder. If you have a taste for it, this is an adventure that begs to be experienced. Meanwhile, GameSpot gave it a 9. Mike Epstein wrote, Returnal is constantly unsettling and consistently challenging. Its mysterious story and demanding action feel intense, urgent, and fresh. The fast-moving combat manages to appear incredibly daunting, bordering on overwhelming, without ever actually becoming insurmountable. Every moment is a rush, either because you barely evaded a giant purple laser, or because you have no idea why there's an Apollo-era astronaut following your every move. Do you need to be a little brave to play Returnal? Yeah. Do you need to be a glutton for punishment? It helps. They say that anything worth doing should scare you at least a little bit. I'm not sure if that's always true, but Returnal makes a strong case. And then Easy Allies gave it an 85. Bradley Ellis wrote, and, Brandon Jones spoke, Returnal is a great debut for Housemarque on the PlayStation 5. The $70 price tag may be off-putting for some, but it makes a great case for itself thanks to excellent gameplay, an intriguing narrative, and replayability. It would be nice if some of the areas felt more distinct from one another, and there are a few tech issues left to iron out. Regardless, Returnal is a blast to play and worth going down the rabbit hole in search of its secrets. Timothy Robert Geddes, you and I have talked about Returnal. Where are you in your Returnal journey?
Not far, because it is very hard. Also, I was reviewing Pokemon Snap last week, so I had Returnal and Pokemon Snap, and I was like, oh man, had to do more Pokemon Snap than Returnal, but I am definitely going back to it many times, it seems. Yeah. I'm absolutely loving it. It reminds me a lot of the roguelike gameplay that I think has kind of permeated the mainstream in the last couple of years with things like Dead Cells and Hades, where we're talking about Jedi Fallen Order kind of being this more mainstream accessible Souls-like game, right? I feel like once we got
Hades, game of the year, yeah.
Exactly. And Dead Cells kind of like opening it up with the high review scores and stuff where it's just like, you got to at least try this game. And I got hooked on both of those. Playing Returnal is crazy to me because I'm going to throw a lot of buzzwords out here, but I'm just telling you what it feels like. It feels like a AAA version of those games, right? It's like those do feel like they have an independent flair to it, whereas Returnal feels like a showpiece title with all the ray tracing and all the colors and all the stuff that's going on.
The DualSense,
in addition to the DualSense, oh my God. But in addition to it being a third-person shooter as opposed to the more traditional, when you think about those type of games, 2D platformers, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool that to me, it is more similar to a Gears of War than it is to a Metroidvania. And because of that, it kind of feels fresh and different, even though it's just taking the gameplay loop of those games and applying it to this new style, or at least a new style for me to experience this type of game. On top of that, it just feels good. These type of shooting games, the shooting needs to feel good, and it does. The most rewarding video game is when it's fun to play, and Returnal is fun as hell to play. And on top of that, you mentioned the DualSense, the haptic feedback. I have never been more impressed with a gimmick in a video game ever. And at that point, it's not a gimmick anymore. Like, it reminds me of playing tennis on the Wii for the first time. Playing Returnal with this controller. Like, we played Astro Bot, and it was like, oh, this is cool. But with this, it's like every single thing is added. The immersion is added to because of the controller. Go for it.
If I can give you a shout out, one of the things you said on Games Daily on Monday with Bless that I brought up in the review on PS I Love You was this thing of like, you're like, I'm not turning off DualSense features. Like, that's, part of the packaging, and that's what and you said like that was what the developers envisioned. And that really, as somebody who doesn't do it often, but did it in Fortnite and one other shooter I played, Outriders. It was Outriders, not even Fortnite, Outriders, where I turned it off, where I'm like, this is actually making it a struggle to shoot, which I don't like. And like, again, there can be bad uses of it. I thought that was a really poignant point from you of like, especially when we have this conversation coming up about $70, right? And is Returnal a $70 game? And when we were talking about it and gushing about it on PS I Love You, one of the things we talked about was this complete package, right? Where it is like, from the controller to the story to the gameplay to the visuals, like this is more than what, and no offense to Housemarque in the past, Housemarque has done with his downloadable titles. Like Returnal is something special. It is a PS5 game.
Yeah, totally. And with that, with the haptic feedback thing, like the point that I was making to take it a little further, Greg, is we always talk about on Gamescast for years now. We've talked about stats that developers have said randomly or offhandedly in different places, talking about like, oh, only X% of people play split screen, so we're not going to have split screen anymore.
Sure.
Or only X amount of people even beat single player games. That's why we're not seeing as many single player games. Like that is a message to me that if we want to see more of something and like something, like we need to commit to it, even if it's not the best implementation. And like that sucks, but just to like have it. So not turning off haptic feedback is a message to developers that we want this and we want it to be done well, right? Yeah. And I think that this is a perfect example of it being done so well to the point that even in cutscenes, there's very early on and very often actually, because it's every time you die, a ship like flies from the left to the right on the screen. And like, let's say it has like kind of like a diagonal path from like top left down to bottom right. When the ship flies by, you feel it in the controller go from top left to bottom right. And it feels accurate with the thrusters of how they're going and how it's animated. Every single thing seems custom. Like, it's not just, oh, things are vibrating and things are rumbling when something's exploding on screen. It's like every single thing seems dialed in. And this is such a thing, being a video editor, being somebody that cares so much about media and tech and all that type of stuff. Like, sound is vibration. Sound is such a big part, and the physical feel of shaking. That's why bass matters so much. It's like it immerses you in the system, right? Like having a surround sound system is great, but you still need the bass to be able to feel the vibration and feel it all. And that's what this haptic feedback is allowing, is it's just that one extra step to get you in. And Returnal does it so well, whether it's just raindrops falling around where you're cool, I'm in this world, or shooting the gun in the way that it actually feels. That goes to what I'm talking about video games being fun. It adds to the fun of shooting a gun in the video game. And it's not hyperbole. It works, and it's awesome. And to talk about the game, it's fantastic. Like all that stuff just adds to an already incredible experience. But that's what we expect from Housemarque. Like the game is arcade perfect gameplay, but modernized with this new modern loop of what these just different games can feel like, right?
And that was one of the things I want to talk to you about, because like for Rogue lights and likes, you came to them very recently with Hades, right? Where that was like the first one you fell in love with, or am I wrong? Oh, Dead Cells. You're right. I apologize. Like, does this one hit in the same way for you? And I know you're early. I know, and for the record, if you didn't watch PSLW yet, I'm early as well. Like Blessing beat it. And then we had Partis, who was a little bit further than me, and then I think you're a little bit behind me even.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in the first biome still. Let me put it this way: I didn't beat Dead Cells. I got really far, but I hit a point that I'm like, this is just simply not going to happen. I did beat Hades after many hours and over a long period of time of like playing for a weekend, not playing for a week, coming back, that type of thing. With Returnal, I don't think I'm ever going to beat this game. And that is not a judgment on the game, similar to Dead Cells, which was freaking utterly fantastic. It's just the amount of time I would need to put in to get good enough and to focus. That's not me. That's not where I'm at in my life right now. But the experience, I think that the experience that I'm playing is worth the money. It is worth the gameplay, like to get it, because it is fantastic. And you don't even need to again, it's about fun. Like you don't need to beat an arcade game for it to be fun. You play
exactly, and that's what I was talking about. And I mean, I don't, there's a whole long, I think, amazing conversation on PS I Love You about it. But that was the thing of, Housemarque being the studio that was the arcade games, the small games, then making the statement arcade is dead, and then starting the battle royale that then they stopped to go work on this. Like, I feel that this smacks of the arcade experience Housemarque's known for, roguelike elements, right? And then third person stuff all wrapped together, let alone the story and control and sci-fi and all that. Like, it's such a special thing that, yeah, I'm the same way with it, where I was talking about in the review of like, I was off all last week, which is why I didn't get a chance to even start this till the weekend. And now that I've talked about it on the show, I'm moving on to the next week's review that I need to be working on. And so it's like, all that said, I'm putting this down, but like my head is still there. You know what I mean? Like when I turn on the PlayStation 5, it's like, oh man, I really want to kick into that, but I'll get to it later. And I do plan on coming back, but do I ever plan on getting good enough and to beat it? I don't know. Like I'd hope to. I'm not saying it's like impossible. I don't think it's like a game that's like, I have an X% a chance to do it. As I talk about in the review, it's about learning patterns. It's about knowing what happens in a certain room. It's about understanding the build you have and where you want to go. Like, I can't fucking wait to play more of it. And I guess that's where you leave it, is I can't wait to get back to Returnal.
Absolutely. And Outrun6017 in the chat says, no arcade game is worth $70. The price of video games is a very interesting conversation. We've talked about it on Gamescast a couple months ago, but I think that even since then, the conversation's kind of shifted. And yesterday, or when we put out the Gamescast this week for the new Pokemon Snap review, a point I made and a point that I tweeted, which of course in the tweet never has as much nuance as the entire episode and conversation. So I understand things get lost, but I was saying that I really, really, really love Pokemon Snap, but like it's ridiculous that the game's $60. And a lot of people were just like, what defines the price? Like, why, if you like the game, how are you saying it's not worth it, whatever? And like, to me, it's just the nuance of like the content and what's being put into it. And with Returnal, everything I just went off about for the last 10 minutes about the haptic feedback and the love and care being put into the custom like world of this whole thing, it's like that's where the $70 goes. Like that's what makes it a AAA feeling experience. And it's like, to me, that makes sense, right? And like $70, look, $70 for any game is ridiculous. That's a lot of money, but that's just where we're at. And if we want these giant experiences, even giant experiences in smaller packages like Returnal, which I'm excited to see. You know, we've talked so long about wanting to see more $40 games. That's a reality now. We're getting a ton of those. Like back in 2016, it was a novelty that Ratchet and Clank had that price point. But in the last couple of years, there's been a ton of games or collections or remasters. The Tony Hawk, like a lot of the Tony Hawk games, the Crash Bandicoot games, the Spyro games. Incredible remakes, $40, $50, whatever they are, right?
Yeah.
So now that we're at the $70 standard on the next gen, I want to see that $70 being going towards making it a ridiculously high quality next gen experience. And that's what Returnal is.
Exactly. I think you nailed it really well there. I have two questions for you though, on this front. All right. ArkWing writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can, and says the review embargo for Returnal is up and reviews are looking good for the game. However, we all know that good reviews don't always translate to copies sold. My question is, how well do you think Returnal will sell? With the game being a full $70, being a niche genre, and seemingly being a difficult game, how many people will pick this game up? Now, I want to call it out before we get into it. On PS I Love You, in the full-blown review, we tackle a whole bunch of people wrote in like, is it worth $70? We talk about that on the review. We definitively say yes, it is, and we go into extrapolating out of what Tim just talked about a lot. I like this question though of, how do you think it will translate to copies sold? And I think Returnal is going to sell really well, Tim. I think that the hype's there for it. I think that Hades was last year a breakout that really brought, at least even if you didn't play it, brought to the forefront of the conversation what a roguelike is. And I think that now that it is a PlayStation 5 game and people are so jazzed, and that's the thing, I guess, is so jazzed about having, if you have a PlayStation 5, you're down to spend your money on this really expensive luxury tech. And so does a $70 game that everybody's saying is a 9, is an 8.5, like scare you off? I don't think so.
It's a third-person shooter. Yep. There's nothing more mainstream than that. My friend Curran, I can easily pitch and be like, hey, you should play this, and he's going to buy it and play it. Yeah. He wouldn't have bought Hades, no matter how good it is. You know what I mean? There's just like a mainstream appeal, and like he has a PS5. He wants next-gen PS5 games to play. This game's being reviewed really well. Like, that's just like the long and short of it, is that there is a value there. There is a hunger for next-gen games with next-gen experiences for the people that have next-gen consoles, which granted is not the majority of people, but there are millions of people out there that do have PS5s that are excited, are hungry, starving for this, right? Yeah. And it's here, and they nailed it. It sounds like Housemarque really, really did what they had to do.
And I think that works to their advantage. That the fact that, you know, how well is it going to sell? Well, how well can it sell at launch on a system that you can barely get in stores right now, right? If you can find them. Exactly.
Secrets, right?
I think that audience is going to be, you know what, I did buy this thing. I have been playing a lot of PlayStation 4s on it, or PlayStation 4 games on it, and I do want a new experience, and this one's going well. And as I was telling Blessing in Paris yesterday, like, I think one of the strengths of Returnal is the fact that, right, it's procedurally generated in terms of what you're going to get when you go into the rooms and how they laid out. Like, it's a water cooler game. So it can be that you could go listen and watch every review for Returnal, and then your experience with it will be different because you're going to get a different role on what that character is every time you die and respawn and come back to it. Now, you said something interesting. I want to bring in another question here. The 5-star man wrote into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, the reviews for Returnal are out, and for the most part, they are incredibly positive. My question is, do you think the fact that this is one of the earliest PlayStation 5 exclusives we've gotten so far is impacting scores? Would this game still be getting high 8s, 9s, and even 10s if it came out a year from now after, presumably, Ratchet & Clank, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok? A year from now, God of War Ragnarok will not be out, 5-star man. I hate to burst your bubble. Either way, I'm excited to get my butt kicked tomorrow. Tim, if you don't mind me coming off the bench first on this.
Go for it.
My answer would be this. I don't think the review scores would differ. I think the review scores would be consistent. I mean, granted, games are going to change. I don't think in a year where we're going to look back at this game and be like, oh my gosh, that was like playing with a baby's toy or something like that. I think the review score would stay the same. I think the hype would be different. I do think it's what Tim just talked about in terms of there's a thirst, there's a hunger for PlayStation 5 content, for stuff to justify you buying the system. I don't know if the Google trend we looked at yesterday on PS I Love You, which is literally like Returnal, right? Of when they last week's saying you could put out previews of it would be the same. I think that's the difference, Tim.
You nailed it. Yeah. I mean, that is what it is. There's just a landscape that we're all in, and there's a way that this works. And, you know, we've forever talked about that early part of the year being a nice place for games to come out, and the Outriders, right? What was the parkour zombie game? Dying Light.
Dying Light.
You know? Like that stuff, it's like these games come out, but it's like becoming more and more normalized that's going to be the thing. But at the end of the day, there was nothing like the hype of a new console cycle, and that the drought of games in the beginning, which means everyone wants something. Remember the Switch when it came out? Remember what happened when everyone finished Breath of the Wild? Every single indie eShop title was selling through the roof because people just wanted something. And the next genification of the Switch was it's portable, you can take it on the go, whatever. The next genification on the where we're at now is the haptic feedback, is the exclusivity, is the ray tracing, is all this stuff. And you talking about, saying that Hades like educated a whole bunch of people on this type of game because of like its Game of the Year awards and all that stuff. I think that is true, but even more so, it being a third-person shooter, it getting these review scores, it being PS5 exclusive, and having the haptic feedback and having all these features is going to introduce this type of gameplay to so many more people than any roguelike in the past ever has.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. And I think that'll be interesting then. It's this weird thing where I think the success of Hades, and when I say success of Hades, obviously it sold well, but I mean critical reception and the conversation about it in the awards after the fact, where even if you are like, oh, I've heard Hades is good, but didn't play it, I'm counting you like the reception of Hades. I think the reception of Hades is helping Returnal for people like, oh, it's a game like Hades. I know people loved that, and this is getting scores, and it's a PlayStation 5 thing I have. I really want to play this. I think that helps. And then I also think now, in a weird way, the success I think Returnal's about to have is going to really help Hades when it eventually comes to other platforms later this year, which is me predicting that they have a year of exclusivity with Switch. Like, I think you're going to see that whole thing of like passing the baton.
I do think that Returnal is going to be Housemarque's Horizon in terms of what it did for Guerrilla, where it's like all of a sudden they are now on another level. They are seen 100%. Differently, where it's like they've done amazing dope stuff before, but now, we're expecting a whole new level of thing from whatever they do next. But, and this is a silly thing to bring up, but I do think that in a couple years, we're not going to look back at Returnal necessarily the way we look back at Horizon. It'll be like, oh, Returnal was cool, but I don't think it's going to stand the test of time of being this thing that people remember as this turning point for Housemarque or whatever. And I imagine that whatever Housemarque does next might be an even bigger, better deal than Returnal even is now for them.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that again, you're going to look back at Returnal as a breakout game for them, but not as big a breakout as Horizon was. Because I think even stick with me. Guerrilla with Horizon, right? Guerrilla, obviously, lead up to that was all Killzone, which meant that if you were a hardcore PlayStation person, you knew who Guerrilla was, and you either really dug those games or really dug one of them and hadn't touched them forever and knew they were talented, but they weren't a Naughty Dog. They weren't, arguably, if you care about Infamous, a sucker punch at the time, right? Whereas Horizon put them out of like, oh, wow, these people are talented. They can do something other than reds and grays and browns, right? I think with Housemarque, with Returnal, the conversation is, and what I've talked about in the lead up to Returnal, where we didn't get to play it, we just saw stuff, and I was like, it looks kind of weird, but it's Housemarque, and we know Housemarque is great. Like Housemarque, you look at their games, you look at Dead Nation, right? You look at Super Stardust. You see this lineage of like, man, these people are fucking killing it. Outland, right? These people are killing it. These games are awesome, but they're small arcade indie, downloadable games. This one is, them kicking it up to getting to another pedestal, which I think will lead to another step that the games get bigger and bigger and better and better. The one and only from XCast, Paris Lilly, has joined the conversation. I guess he's from XCast and of course PS I Love You, XOXO. Paris, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I have to slightly disagree with the conversation that both of you are having right now because I do think this can be transformative for Housemarque and put them on the AAA pedestal the same way that Horizon was able to change it for Guerrilla Games, obviously coming from Killzone. In this sense, I think this will be the game that's going to make the rogue-like titles more mainstream, and you're going to get more people to want to start trying them. So I think we'll look back at this as the starting point for them to say, oh, wow, yeah, Returnal, oh, that was awesome. I was never, because again, I'm in that category. I wasn't really into the roguelike games, but now I feel like I want to go play Hades. I do want to go play Dead Cells because I want more of this. And I think it took a game like this to get me in the door. And I think that's going to happen for more. So I think for Housemarque as a developer, this opens the floodgates for them to pretty much do whatever they want with PlayStation moving forward, because I think they've proved that the risk PlayStation took is going to pay off. Look at all the reviews today. It's going to, like you said, Greg, it's going to sell great because people are hungry for PlayStation 5 content. And I think at the end of the year, it will have accolades. I think it's going to, at least be nominated for some awards. So no, I'll push back a little bit, like I said, and think, no. I think this is on the same level as Guerrilla Games was for Horizon. Horizon was for Guerrilla Games.
See, the only thing that I'll counterpoint to that is I agree with the idea overall, where I do think this is leveling Housemarque up for sure, but I just don't think it's leveling up to the same extent as we saw Guerrilla go from Killzone to Horizon, or for Sucker Punch from Infamous to Ghosts, right? I think that the next game they do is going to be, all of a sudden, they're in the same conversation with the Naughty Dogs, Insomniacs, and Sucker Punches. Whereas I think with Returnal right now, they're still not quite there. They're still the little brothers.
No, I totally get what you're saying on that. I'm literally putting on my socks because I was about to go to the gym. But
I'm gonna come over there and beat your ass.
But no, I get that, and in that sense, I absolutely agree with you. I guess what I'm saying is I feel like this is that jumping off point that the next time you hear Game X from Housemarque, everyone's going to be excited about it because they're gonna go back and say, yo, those are the guys that made Returnal. Like I love Resogun as an example, so I knew how good they were, but this was a big leap for them coming from something AA like Resogun to now making a AAA roguelike game, for the
1,000%.
PlayStation 5. Yeah, so that's it. That's all. I'm going to the gym. I just
love
want to
it.
chime in.
Enjoy your socks. Bye.
I can't wait to see how ripped Paris gets Tim. But before we find any information about that, let me tell you about patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to be part of the show like everybody we've read so far. But most importantly for right now, you can go there to get the show ad-free. And speaking of ads, you didn't go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So let me tell you about our sponsors. I'll start with Dr. Squatch. Okay, real talk here. That soap or body wash you're using, it's shit. It's packed with harsh chemicals, synthetic detergents, and it's brutal on your skin. If you're ready to step up your game to soap that's natural, great for your skin, and doesn't smell like a middle school locker room, Dr. Squatch is here. Dr. Squatch is changing the way men approach hygiene with their natural personal care products that make you feel like a man and smell like a champion. All of Dr. Squatch's soaps are made in the USA using the finest ingredients nature has to offer. That means natural cleansers and nourishing ingredients that are actually great for your skin. Dr. Squatch's soaps come in a huge range of natural manly scents that are going to transform your shower. Whether it's their best-selling pine tar or scents like bay rum and cedar citrus, you're never going to have a boring shower again. Blessing Adeoye Jr., the man who said 2019's Game of the Year was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, had his first shower experience and said he could only describe it as heavenly. He used the grapefruit IPA scent, and it's to die for. If you really Want to make it easy on yourself? You can also subscribe to Dr. Squatch, just like the hundreds of thousands of other guys out there. Every month, fresh bars of Squatch show up at your door. It's super easy. They've got a full lineup of personal care goods like deodorant, hair care, and toothpaste. Right now, new customers can get 20% off on orders of $20 or more when they go to drsquatch.com and enter the code DSCKFGD. That's drsquatch.com, code DSCKFGD for the 20% off on orders of $20 or more. Had to do like a Tazon Day thing, burp away from the microphone. Final Fantasy VII Integrate is the next sponsor. Grab your weapons and join the resistance because Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate for PlayStation 5 is here June 10th. The shadowy Shinra Corporation is draining the planet's very life force, all for their own gain. The mercenary Cloud Strife teams with Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith to take Shinra down. Whether they succeed depends on you. We are also excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. It's the definitive edition of the award-winning Final Fantasy VII Remake. Intergrade comes with so many expanded graphical and gameplay and system enhancements. We're talking improved lighting, crisper backgrounds, more realistic textures, all the things we talked about in our review. Intergrade brings the game visuals to a whole new level. Plus, you can switch between graphics mode and performance mode depending on whether you want 4K or super smooth action with 60 frames per second. Plus, yes, there's also a plus. The game comes bundled with episode Intermission, a brand spanking new episode featuring Wu-Tai Ninja Yuffie as the main character, where she'll conspire with the Avalanche HQ to steal the ultimate materia from the Shinra Electric Power Company. Pre-order Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade today by going to sqex.link/remakekf. That's sqex.link/remakekf. sqex.link/remakekf. Wu-Tai. Yes.
Wu-Tai.
Wu-Tai. But it's not, I didn't say Wu-Tang, all right?
It's not
I will
Wu-Tai,
not let
but
Blessing tell you I said blue.
It is Wu-Tai.
That's fine. I'm allowed to be wrong on that part. I mean, I'm not, you know, Blessing besmirching my name. Up next is Caviar. Loving good food doesn't necessarily mean you're able to cook well. If you want a great meal but need a little help, let the restaurant come to you. Caviar can help. Caviar is the food delivery app for people who are into good food. They bring the best local restaurants directly to your doorstep. Other apps may have national chains, but Caviar keeps it local. Those hidden gems in your neighborhood, they're on Caviar. Caviar curates local options for every taste, whether it's the perfect Reuben from the sandwich shop or the best Indian vegan curry. You always have options for whatever you want. Not sure what you want to eat? Let Caviar's staff picks recommend the best spots in your neighborhood to find your new favorite. And just for our listeners, Caviar is offering $10 off an order of $20 or more. All you have to do is put in the offer code KINDAFUNNY at checkout. Remember, that's $10 off a purchase of $20 or more with offer code KINDAFUNNY. Download the Caviar app and use the offer code KINDAFUNNY. And our final sponsor of the day is Channel Fireball Box Breaks. Channel Fireball is a very big name in the collectible and trading cards industry. Their new initiative, CFB Box Breaks, involves live-streamed pack and box openings. People will purchase a group in a break. I'll use basketball as an example. Let's say you all buy in. Tim gets all the Cavalier cards. Greg gets all the Miami Heat cards, etc. And the break happens live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We stream breaks starting at 1 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. Friday and Saturday. There are also personal breaks. Let's say Blessing buys an entire box of Pokemon cards, which he would do, and we open it live on stream before shipping him the contents. Each stream also builds to a premium break. These are usually spicier or more expensive breaks with big hits in them. For example, this Saturday we are breaking a box of revised Magic the Gathering. Each booster pack costs $500, and there are cards worth over $1,000 you can open in there. Box breaks are a fun way to get your hands on collectible cards, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, sports cards, and more. They're running an awesome deal on Battle Styles, the hottest new Pokemon set right now, and you can get a box cheaper with CFB Box Breaks, that's all one word, than anywhere else. So head to cfbboxbreaks.com and make sure you use the code KINDAFUNNY so they know we sent you and get 5% off your first break. Timothy, Number 3 on the Roper Report. Microsoft is cutting its PC take. This is Tom Warren at The Verge. Microsoft is shaking up the world of PC gaming today with a big cut to the amount of revenue it takes from games on Windows. The software giant is reducing its cut from 30% to just 12% from August 1st on, in a clear bid to compete with Steam and entice developers and studios to bring more PC games to its Microsoft Store. Quote, game developers are at the heart of bringing great games to our players, and we want them to find success on our platforms, says Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios at Microsoft. A clear, no strings attached revenue share means developers can bring more games to more players and find greater commercial success from doing so. These changes will only affect PC games and not Xbox console games in the Microsoft Store. While Microsoft hasn't explained why it's not reducing the 30% it takes from the Xbox game sales, it's likely because the console business model is entirely different to PC. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo subsidize hardware to make consoles more affordable and offering marketing deals in return for a 30% cut of software sales. Microsoft's new reduction on the PC side is significant. It matches the same revenue split that Epic Games offers PC game developers, while also putting more pressure on Valve to reduce its Steam Store cut. Valve still takes 30% cut in sales on its Steam Store, which is reduced to 25% when sales hit 10 million, and then 20% for every sale after 50 million. Timothy, of course, this is bred by competition, but still good move on Microsoft. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you, Tim. You're muted.
Of course it's bred by competition, but that's why competition's good. Like this wouldn't happen otherwise. And at the end of the day, this is the only thing that can dethrone and kind of disrupt the way things have been, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's just how it works. And it's always interesting. There's a lot of complaints and takes about how much percent is too much percent when it comes to the stuff, because there's prices for servers and upkeep and all this and whatever. 30% is a lot of money. It's a lot of moolah. But it's like they also created the store that everyone wants to go to. So if you want to be on that store, that's the price you have to pay. I get the different perspectives, but Microsoft coming in, I just love that Microsoft as a whole right now, both as in the next gen competition race with the Xbox and PlayStation, and then now on the PC side, which to Microsoft at some point, it's all the same thing because they don't care. It's just Xbox, period. They're just making all these moves that are going to change the industry for better or worse in the long run. I think it will be for the better. But they're making these bold moves. Doing things like Game Pass is, at the very least, starting a conversation about a $70 game and what its value is on the PlayStation side, when you could get it for way cheaper using a subscription model. This is the same type of thing. They're going to take a loss on this in a lot of ways. I mean, clearly, they're going to lose a major percent of the money that they'd make by changing the rules on their store. But people aren't buying on their store.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, they're going to make more money because
making some money is better than making no money, right?
100%. So, this is definitely not a move made to like better the industry. It is to better their wallets. But sometimes, and in not most cases, in the best cases, it's when both things happen. Where they're making more money, but it's also going to better the industry because this means more money in developers' pockets. This means, just a better experience, more options for gamers to be able to buy on different storefronts, hopefully limiting the exclusivity and the this and the that's of the different stores and having a little bit more equity across the board. That's the goal, but that's hard to get to, but it requires people making bold moves that might bite them in the ass, and this is one of them.
A couple different things here. For the post show, we're going to tackle Benjamin Barry's question. It was originally going to be here in the show, but obviously we're running a bit late. But he wants to know, will any of the moves that he runs down, and including this one, ever result in Steam matching the percentage given to developers? I'd like to tackle that with you at the end of the show. And then also a story I had to cut today. GDC survey results came out. And in there, 3% think the 30-70 revenue split on digital storefronts is justified, meaning that 97% of the more than 3,000 game developers polled said, no, that's a bullshit percentage split. There was a bunch of other stats in there, but like I said, that's the one that pertains to this story, and I think speaks to it. Now,
real quick, I would love to see the percentage of people that work at Steam of what they think.
Sure. Yeah, of course. We quoted Matt Booty in there. Matt Booty also has, and I think his quote might be pulled from there, where they talked about this over on Xbox Wire. Maybe it was an interview that Tom Warren had. I'm not sure. But Matt has a whole thing about PC gaming and Xbox and Microsoft up on Xbox Wire. One of them I thought was interesting for you, Tim, and everybody who's excited for Halo Infinite. Under building communities around games, not devices, Matt wrote, A big part of our role as a platform holder and game publisher is to connect players with games no matter where they play. Over the last 18 months, we've launched games on PC like Age of Empires 2 and 3DE, Gears Tactics, Wastelands 3. I see what it was. Age of Empires 2 and 3DE, Gears Tactics, Wasteland 3, Minecraft Dungeons, and Microsoft
Definitive
Flight
Edition.
Simulator. Huh?
Definitive Edition.
That makes sense. But when they abbreviate it and I'm in a hurry, I don't remember. Which topped the Steam charts at launch. We're looking forward to delivering more PC content, including Age of Empires 4 later this year. Whether they are new games or new genres for established franchises, the next iteration of a classic favorite, or the evolution of a storied PC brand, we're making games that PC gamers love to play. We know that many of you play across more than just your PC, including on Xbox and mobile. That's why we're excited to announce Halo Infinite will support multiplayer crossplay and cross progression when it releases later this year. That means if you're playing on PC, you can play with your friends on Xbox One and Xbox Series X/S. It also means that all your multiplayer customization and progress will follow you across all platforms. More great news.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it needs to
Absolutely.
be. Crossplay, cross
Very, very
progression,
cool.
everything there.
It's the
And then
best.
final
Next gen. What's it about, Greg?
convenience, Tim. That was a good one. We got you in your car, didn't you? We got you to look. It's like, is the episode over? What happened? Now we got you looking. Pregnant pause. Yeah. Fifth and final on the Roper Report. Bobby Kotick gets a pay cut. We're reading from Danielle Partis over at gamesindustry.biz. Activision Blizzard has extended Bobby Kotick's employment agreement, which will see him serve as company CEO until at least March 31st, 2023. But it comes with a pay cut. As noted in a recent filing, Kotick's agreed upon base salary has been voluntarily reduced by 50% to align with company targets. This equates to an $875,000 reduction. In line with this, Kotick has also agreed to reduce his target annual bonus by 50%, a potential reduction of $1.75 million for fiscal years 2021 and 2022. However, Kotick is still eligible to earn up to 200% of the reduced base salary due to exceptional factors detailed in the extension amendment. The amendment notes that under Kotick's leadership, Activision Blizzard's market capitalization has increased from less than $10 million to over $70 billion. Has increased from less than $10 million to over $70 billion, with an 8,100% increase in shareholder return between 2000 and 2020. Kotick's salary came under fire last year, with company shareholders arguing that he's paid too much. The notion was supported by the CTW Investment Group, a firm set up to challenge excessive executive pay, urging shareholders to vote against the decision to remunerate Kotick in line with previous years. Additionally, Kotick could be set to receive up to $200 million as a result of Activision Blizzard's success over the last year. CTW also criticized this notion, deliberating whether Kotick should be solely compensated for company-wide success. News of this substantial payout followed a round of layoffs at Activision Blizzard, with 50 staff let go from the company's esports and live events businesses during the pandemic. Kind of putting a bow on that one, because I remember when we talked about the salary stuff, the CTW report, and then, these layoffs happening there. So a voluntary reduction of 50% seems in line with, let's not kick our employees out to the curb during a pandemic. Now, will those dollars translate back to actually keeping on board? I don't know. Who knows? But
this is the type of thing where it's just like we can criticize every way we want. This is definitely a good step. Is it enough? That obviously is a conversation that needs to be had. I think that when it comes down to it, though, it's like none of this stuff is because people want to make these decisions. He's bullied into this because of shareholder stuff. Bully is not the right word to use, but the shareholders want him to do it. So he's like, well, shit, I got to do it. Right. But he's doing it. It's happening. And I think that this is going to be a trend that we see a lot more of in the future because, that for this industry to thrive and work the way that it is, and to continue being as successful it is, like a lot of these things are going to have to change. And a lot of devs are going to need to be paid to make the games that make the money. And that's just how this is going to go as video games transform from being a niche hobby into the mainstream entertainment, behemoth that they have been becoming and are going to continue becoming as this generation cooks up.
Indeed. You're right there. I won't lie to you. I totally spaced out. Tim,
All
it's
good.
official.
All good.
It's official. It's official. Invincible has been greenlit for season 2 and season 3.
Yes!
Fuck Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
Hell yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, that is
yes.
awesome.
Hell yeah. God damn. That's good to hear. Yes. Whatever, Bobby Kotick salary. Tim, I can't wait for, first off, our reactions going live tomorrow to the finale of Invincible Season 1, youtube.com/kindafunny. Kinda Funny reacts wherever you get your podcasts. But that episode is so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily show host each and every weekday.
Yeah.
Out today, Predator Hunting Grounds comes to Steam. Secret Neighbor is on PlayStation 4. Legend of the Keeper, Switch, PC, and Mac. Before I forget, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. Before I forget, is that Alzheimer's games I was talking about last year and on my top 10 list and all that stuff. Highly, highly recommend it. Very touching, very sad. Total War Rome Remastered is on PC and Mac. Insurmountable is on PC. Farm Manager 2021 is on PC. Ladders by Powagi is on Switch. War Dogs Red's Return is on Xbox One. Battle Axe is on Switch. Slinky, but with an I instead of a Y, is on Switch. Space Warrior is on Switch. Fly Together is on Switch. Recnum Cherry Dreamland is on Switch. Legend of Keepers, Career of a Dungeon Master is on Switch. Castaway Paradise is on Switch. Super Glitch Dash is on Switch. Amnesia Rebirth Adventure Mode is now available as a free upgrade for PlayStation players. And for GTA Online, this week, a deluge of rewards, bonuses, and discounts await aspiring and veteran gun-running entrepreneurs, kicking off with double rewards in Bunker Cell missions, a free hoodie for all bunker owners, and half off all bunker properties. Goose Goose Duck is out on Steam. Ranch Simulator.
Get the fuck out of here. Goose Goose Duck. What's next? Seek and hide? No.
Hey,
not
man,
how we do this.
get around the copyrights. Just get around the copyright. You know what I mean? Ranch Simulator gets its first major content update today. Multimedia man in the chat. I love this part of the show where it seems like Greg is learning to read for the first time. Fuck you, man.
No.
They're not using real words. They're spelling everything all crazy, all right?
What the, like REKNUM? Get the fuck out of here.
Recnum. Cherry Dreamland, but cherry with an I. So I'm like, is it Sherry? I guess that's Sherry.
Earlier, you're like Slinky. And it's like, okay, how do you think Slinky's spelled? There's no Y in it. That's weird.
New dates for you. Devolver Digital has announced a 10-in-1 collection, Essays on Empathy, for May 18th coming to PC. I'm excited about that one. It's a bunch of little narrative games. And then Erica comes to Steam May 25th. Tim, we asked people watching to go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames, where, of course, you can write in to be part of the show, but you can also get the show ad-free. You can get it with the post show we're going to do after this and answer Benjamin Barry's question. And, of course, so many exclusives. You can write in, though, to be our squad up. This is where I read your name, your username, your platform of choice, why you need help in a video game, and people come and find you. Today, friend of the show, Dhruvenator, has a very different one. He writes in and says, hi, KFGD family. I've seen Squad Up used for this in the past, so I thought I would write in. As more and more of us are getting vaccinated in the U.S., including myself, I can feel like we are finally approaching the light at the end of the tunnel. But I am often reminded that we are still in a position of privilege. What is happening in India, my birthplace, has brought me to tears repeatedly over the past few weeks. I asked the Kinda Funny family to please share their thoughts, prayers, and charitable contributions to what is amounting to be the single largest number of deaths in India in any period of time. Praying for my family back home, and I hope that we can all pull through this together. To any Kinda Funny best friends in India, we wish you all the best and hope everything ends up okay as soon as possible. Hear, hear, Dhruvenator. Very much so. If you are a Kinda Funny best friend in India, yes, of course, stay safe. Our thoughts are with you. And then, yes, if you have the means, obviously, as he says, for thoughts, prayers, or charitable contributions to help India, that'd be great right now as they struggle with COVID and Corona. Tim, we asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames to go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. That's an editorializing. Okay, C Porky 92 says, I understand what he's trying to say. He says Star Wars Celebration was first shown off at Star Wars Celebration, not E3. Okay, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was first at Star Wars Celebration. At some point we said Ratchet and Clank. Which part?
The Star Wars thing?
The big gameplay reveal was at EA Play when I hosted it. But exactly. did they and then Andrea and Vince did the name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
So
forget
else
what
did
they showed.
reveal?
Was it just a trailer? Probably not gameplay.
That's
a fight
okay.
circle.
Yeah. That was what it was. Where it was the video of him wall running.
Gotcha. Kebab says at one point we said Ratchet and Clank came out in 2017. It's actually 2016. Kebabs also says at some point, I guess we said Ghosts of Tsushima instead of Ghosts. He says it's singular, not plural. And then that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the Your Rungs. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for watching. Remember, we're going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to record the post show. You can also go there to get the show ad free. Of course, if you're sticking around on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, Blessing and Andy are about to jump into Resident Evil 7 and get scared. Oh, they're going to get so scared. Remember, though, then after that, 2 p.m., we're doing State of Play reactions. You can join us live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames for both those. You can catch Blessing and Andy's Let's Play over on our newest channel, youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. And then, of course, the State of Play reactions will go up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, where there's already that Apex Legends preview with a whole bunch of gameplay footage, and there's a PS I Love You review of Returnal. Remember, I know how many of you get us as a podcast and just listen to us later. It would mean a lot if you went to the YouTube channel and checked out the times we do the video only content. It really helps us out. Tomorrow, it'll be me and Blessing, where I'm sure he will talk about how much he loves Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and how it was Game of the Year 2019. But for now, Tim and I have to go do a post show. We love you. We appreciate you. And until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.